Oh, I've been on for 1 minute. I'm sorry, my laptop logged. So yeah, welcome back to the Pop and Wrestling Podcast with me, Coach 23, and this is episode 21 of the Pop and Wrestling Podcast. And right now, I don't know what's wrong with my camera again, but let me refresh that. So you're hearing my voice. So last Monday, we talked about my opinion about the Mount Rushmore of WWE. And at the time, we discussed the first two eras of Mount Rushmore that I provided in episode 17 uh, during the Rock and Wrestling or Golden Age era of WWE and the New Generation era. And you can go back and watch it and appreciate it. If you like, subscribe during the time, and I will really appreciate it. So, yeah, once again, this is a Friday. Sorry, there's a log that happened. I don't know what happened. So, yeah. So right now we're going to do Mount Part Two of the Mount Rushmore of WWE talk, and this time we'll dwell on another or a couple of eras for WWE. So so after New Generation era, WWE was in a state of influx. Their business wasn't really that good. Business really was tanking, according to some researchers and historians. Vince McMahon owed a lot of creditors to some people, meaning, water coolers are being pulled out, other equipments are being pulled out. This wasn't really good. But the thing is, after that, during this time, Monday Night Wars happened because Eric Bishop around 1994-95 started to compete against WWE and have his own Monday night show, which is WCW Monday Night Raw. So WWE Monday Night Raw is in competition now with with WCW. So uh, what happened is during the time Monday Night Nitro was really kicking WWE's ass in terms of viewership and ratings and business overall at the time because WWE was still catering to the PG or kids era. During the time, occupational wrestlers, you know, storylines for kids, it's not really working at the time. And WCW at the time and ECW to an extent were more focused on reality based storylines and hardcore wrestling. And WWE was like, you know, wasn't really doing well. WWE became an obvious number two during that time in terms of business until they turned it around and introduced and used the formula that both WCW and ECW were doing, and hence they focus more on the reality-based storylines, risky action, and even like storytelling. Hence, the Attitude Era started during this time. So, Attitude Era was born in terms of in my perspective out of necessity in order for WWE to be successful again. And my Mount Rushmore during this time, I sh- I almost have five again, but I'm going to make it four because it's an obvious number four during this time. So the first name, obviously, for the Attitude Era and the Mount Rushmore of Attitude Era superstars or wrestlers is none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was a wrestler that, competed in the independence or territorial scene back in early 80s or late 80s or early 90s even, and was well known in WCW as Stunning Steve Austin as a mid-card performer and a tag team wrestler with the late great Brian Pillman, and as the Hollywood Blondes until he became an injured wrestler, a perennial injury every time, blown his knees, his hands, his shoulder, his back even, and story wise, not really story wise, history wise, Eric Bishop fired him via FedEx. So Eric Bishop like fired him over the phone and sent like a contract saying you're terminated. And he was injured at the time, or he was healing on an injury at the time. He went to ECW for a couple of months. Then WWE hired him. To be fair, he was hired to be like according to some or the wrestling parlance, a mechanic, meaning the only title he can be high or can have like hold for longer or like a specific time is the Intercontinental Championship. Vince McMahon didn't see anything at Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, okay, you're foul, you're a wrestler, basically a brawler, a wrestler, and he's a good or great, decent technical wrestler, but he's more known as a brawler, meaning his energy is always frenetic. He's always there, not as frenetic as like an Ultimate Warrior, but he was well known as a bad guy or a heel, a bumping heel that when you punch, he will bump and come back, sell for the baby face or the good guy. Until a famous thing that happened during 1996. So during 1996, I talked this with the click issue, I believe, or DX or whatnot. Triple H was supposed to win the King of the Ring tournament 1996, but he was punished because of the curtain call incident uh, during the time around May or June of 1996, and he got punished. So the second choice to win was Stone Cold Steve Austin because at the time Stone Cold Steve Austin was a heel as well. He had like decent feuds with Savio Vega, among other names. So he was really a lower to mid card. If there's a mid card, he was there. And King of the Ring was a tournament that you have seen earlier this year when Gunter won that propels a mid card performer, whether you're lower, mid, or mid card, or upper mid card, to be a main event talent. And during the tournament, uh, he wrestled among a lot of guys. He got busted in the slip, I believe, by an errant kick from Mark Merrill. He went to the hospital, got his lip stitched, and his opponent at the finals at the time was Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake the Snake Roberts back then he was battling his own personal demons and he was trying to to be like a preacher or some sort and he coined John 3:16, the popular Bible verse, and he used that as inspiration to propel to the Stone Cold Steve Austin that we know. So he won. He beat Jake the Snake Roberts after a Stone Cold Stunner. He did an interview because at King of the Ring they were like crowning you, giving you a crown, a scepter, and a robe, but he didn't want any of it. So he coined the phrase Austin 3:16 says, "I just whip your ass." It's a bad impression, but it's among that. So he coined even two phrases at that interview by Michael PSA's Austin 3:16, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. So he became this rebellious wrestler at the time, feuded with Bret Hart during 1990, late 1996 to early 1997, and 1998 during WrestleMania 14. The passing of the torch from Shawn Michaels to Stone Cold Steve Austin happened, and he became WWE champion for the first time at WrestleMania 14. But still, the ratings war at the Monday Night War era, it's still neck and neck. April 1998, he challenged Vince McMahon to a wrestling match on Monday Night Raw, and he said that I can beat you with one arm time behind my back. They did that, and that's the first episode of Monday Night Raw that has beaten WCW Nitro after 83 weeks, and that really propelled WWE again in the wrestling war. and became the number one promotion. So Stone Cold Steve Austin name becomes synonymous with the Attitude Era, along with DX at the time. But you know, DX is not actually part of the Mount Rushmore of Attitude Era. Why? DX is a group, but you will know later why. So next name that I will put at the Mount Rushmore of Attitude Era is Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or during the time he was known as Rocky Maivia, and now he's known as The Rock during this time. So Rock at the time was introduced 1996, late 1996, as a baby face, similar with like the John Cena good guy image and whatnot. Didn't really pan out. Fans are really clamoring for those anti-heroes like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, TX at the time, and now, and even Shawn Michaels at the time. He was still wrestling in 1996. Then got injured, repackaged himself as The Rock, joined the Nation of Domination, became Intercontinental Champion in an upper mid card feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin, became a Royal Rumble runner up 1998, I believe, as still in the Royal Rumble again after Stone Cold Steve Austin won, and he was Intercontinental Champion during this time. Feuded with DX when he was the leader of Nation of Domination, kicking Farouk's ass as the leader. He led like the Godfather, D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, and even the late great Owen Hart as part of the Nation of Domination against D Generation X, and feuded with Triple H for the Intercontinental Champion during 1996. He lost the title in a great SummerSlam ladder match in Madison Square Garden against Triple H, and this propelled him to the main event spot of WWE as a bad guy. He was a heel before that at the time. He won his first WWE Championship at Survivor Series 1998 at winning a 16-man tournament. Not really 16-man, it's basically 14-man because Undertaker and Kane had a bye. Bye meaning they had no first round opponents, and he won after Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, and The Rock uh, used the Montreal Survivor Series screw job uh, to beat Mankind for the WWE Championship. He feuded with Mankind during the time when when he won his first WWE Championship. He lost to Mankind, and they traded wins. And he defended the WWE Championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 15. He lost, but after he lost after a month at Backlash, same year, 1999, I believe. Yeah, 1999. He became a good guy. He became a babyface next to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he never looked back until 2001, 2002, 2003 when he became a bad guy again, Hollywood Rock. But his impact in the Attitude Era is you can comparable to Stone Cold Steve Austin in terms of popularity because there was a period of time that he's even more popular than Stone Cold Steve Austin during this time. Yeah, so number two is The Rock for the Mount Rushmore Attitude Era. Number three is Triple H. 'Cause Triple H, like I said earlier, with the bad guy in the Rock and Wrestling Golden Age era, is that you don't have a good guy, great good guy, if you don't have a great bad guy. And Triple H was the heel during the Attitude Era. He teamed up with D Generation X. He broke up with D Generation X and joined corporation under Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon. He broke up there. He became a bad guy heel, and his most popular run as a heel during the Attitude Era when he teamed up with his now real life wife. Back then, they were just like storyline husband and wife, Stephanie McMahon, during the McMahon Helmsley regime or era. And during the time Stone Cold was injured, he feuded with The Rock, and he was like the great bad guy to the good guy of Rock, and he held the glue as the bad guy during the Attitude Era, and he really kick ass as a heel. He became a coward. He's a cowardly heel, but he's also a kick ass technical wrestler when he needs to. He became a babyface in a little short period of time against Kurt Angle, but he's more over as a bad guy during the Attitude Era. So Triple H is obviously the number three for Mount Rushmore during the Attitude Era. Now I said earlier that I was supposed to be have like five on another cheat code list for Attitude Era, but I decided to make it four really, because there's one person During the Attitude Era, that wasn't really, given like props. But if you are born within my, or you're within my age limit, you would know why. Sable. Sable was a popularly well-known female wrestler at the time during the Attitude Era. She became a women's champion during this time. She she became so popular that she posed for Playboy magazine. Playboy magazine, kids, are a magazine that, yeah, for your dads only, for your eyes dads only. Um, don't research it. If you want, be discreet. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. She was an unsung hero during the Attitude Era because during the time everyone is Stone Cold, Triple H, The Rock, but Sable was getting high ratings on her segments during Monday Night Raw whenever she's there. She was a good guy turned heel again as well, but she was even popular as a heel. And yeah, like I said, she's an unsung hero in terms of storyline and in business impact during this time, the Attitude Era. And most people are, lost. They can give this as well to China. But for me, in my opinion, I think Sable was the catalyst or genesis of, how women can be a draw in WWE. Back then, it's more of, risque storylines and, how they use women's wrestler compared to now. But as far as business impact, as I said earlier, Sable takes the cake for the Mount Rushmore of the Attitude Era. So, yeah. So, after the Attitude Era, um, WWE bought, you know, uh, WCW and ECW State Library. They did the Invasion angle, and this was still during the time or tail end of the Attitude Era. So the next era that came out came up after the Attitude Era was the Ruthless Aggression Era. So Ruthless Aggression Era, most of the top wrestlers are no longer working for WWE. Stone Cold Steve Austin left after he walked out famously 2001 or 2002. 2002 he walked out because of health issues and creative issues, but mostly health issues according to him. The Rock was actually just bouncing back and forth as a Hollywood star and a wrestler. So he was basically the start of a part timer. Triple H was Triple H is already a legend at the time, and so WWE needed names to use to become stars. And basically this was the Ruthless Aggression era, or I'm sorry, the New Generation era after the Attitude Era. But they call it the Ruthless Aggression era because of Vince McMahon. Because they don't have any more competitors in terms of pro wrestling. Yeah, TNA was starting, but TNA was still, miles ahead WWE. So Ruthless Aggression era started, and there's only four names that I guess most people will agree in terms of the Mount Rushmore at the time. So this really are interchangeable, but of course the first name I can give is Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar at this time was actually my favorite version of Brock Lesnar in terms of as a wrestler because he was a bumping babyface and bumping heel. This wasn't really the Suplex City Brock Lesnar. So he can be a great technical wrestler, wrestling, competing against guys like Kurt Angle, redacted Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and have a great match, including that good and great 60-minute Iron Man match for the WWE Championship against Kurt Angle on SmackDown. And they were really, really great technical wrestler. And Brock is like 6'4", 6'5", 290 pounds. Doesn't even need to like do holds because if you do a hold, you can break your arm, snap your arm like a twig. But yeah, so first name that he was really became a popular. because he was called up around WrestleMania 2002, WrestleMania 18, and after like 4 or 5 months, he became WWE champion, or 6 months became WWE champion. So that's how fast he became WWE champion. So next top on the name of that is John Cena. Became basically the face of ruthless aggression because of the his first match was with Kurt Angle at Chicago, All State Arena of all places. And Kurt Angle asked him, "What do you have to compete with the very best in the business?" And John Cena said, "Ruthless aggression," and slapped. But during this time, he was like the baby face. They were packaging him as a good guy. Uh, he was like being, a cheap pop type of guy because if he's wrestling in Chicago, he will wear red and black, Chicago Bulls color. If he's in LA, it's purple and gold. So if it's in Boston, it's green and white for Boston Celtics. So he's really ingratiating himself to the fans, but until, he didn't really panned out well. So he said that, you know what, I think I was about to get fired until Stephanie McMahon saw him doing a freestyle rap, and they did that. So they introduced the rapping gimmick of John Cena, who's back then, his tag name was a Doctor of Thugonomics. Then afterwards, became the leader of Chain Gang, became the leader of C Nation during the Ruthless Aggression era, multiple time WWE champion, and right now he's currently on 16 in terms of WWE championship. Overall, he didn't leave the company, so he's in terms of titles because Ric Flair also has like 16 world titles, in history, as according to some people. But he won two from WWE and 14 from NWA WCW. But if WWE all alone, John Cena is the most, has the most title reigns for WWE or World Heavyweight Championship within the company. So 16 is the number that Randy Orton's still chasing as well. I believe Randy Orton has like 14 or 15 right now. 14, I believe. So it would be on 15. So he needs two more to tie with Cena and three more to beat Ric Flair. But yeah, so John Cena takes the cake for the number to the second spot of the Mount Rushmore of the Ruthless Aggression era. Then another name is Randy Orton. So Randy Orton during the Ruthless Aggression era was introduced as, of course, Bob Orton Jr., Cowboy Bob Orton's son. He was well known to get injured. He got injured in his shoulder, and he was a baby face. He was similar. They were trying to like mimic him with Cena at the time. Um, and then got injured when he came back. He Triple H recruited him to join Evolution, Triple H vision of a four horseman esque group, but more dealing with the past, present, and future of the business of wrestling. So Ric Flair was the first recruit with him. Ric Flair, presenting the past. Triple H, as the time as a world heavyweight champion, was presenting the future, the present. Randy Orton was the obvious future, and at the time there were like bouncing ideas whether it's another member that will tell you part of this group. But during this time, Randy Orton became the Intercontinental Champion as one of the youngest Intercontinental Champion of all time, and became the youngest World Heavyweight Champion when he won the world title at SummerSlam 2004. And of course, he became a good guy, but he was like a forced good guy at the time. Fans are cheering him. Maybe that's the reason why let's pull the trigger of him being a baby face, but he was well known even when he was in Evolution. He was known as the Legend Killer because he was like, you know, executing the RKO in the legends like Sergeant Slaughter, Randy Savage, Mick Foley, Fabulous Moolah, May Young, I believe, Undertaker, I believe. So yeah, Randy Orton in terms of being a Mount Rushmore during the time of the Ruthless Aggression era, he's really part of this one. And the last part, or the last phase of the Mount Rushmore for the Ruthless Aggression, is Randy Orton's running partner in Evolution as well, the Animal Dave Batista. So Dave Batista became a part of Evolution as well. He was known initially in the WWE as Deacon Batista. According to his book, he bought like thousands of dollars worth of like coats and tuxedos, and they just asked him to tear it up. So he was introduced as Deacon Batista or Devon Dudley's Reverend Devon Dudley's uh, bodyguard. So he's like holding this like collection donation boxes and he's standing menacingly there, but didn't pan out. Transferred to Raw, was recruited by Ric Flair and Triple H to join Evolution, but he's not the future. But he became the future of the business as well during this time. But during the time, like I said, Ric Flair is the past, Triple H is the present, Randy Orton is the future, Batista was the muscle. But after Randy Orton was kicked out of Evolution, became a babyface, then eventually became a heel again, and went to SmackDown. Batista became the uber babyface for Monday Night Raw and challenged Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship, which eventually he won at some WrestleMania 21 in Hollywood. He won the Royal Rumble at the time during that famous elimination or double elimination of him and John Cena at Royal Rumble 2005 as well. And he became a big star as well. During this time, he even surpassed Randy Orton as like the biggest name. So incidentally, these four guys was training in the same developmental camp of WWE, which is Ohio Valley Wrestling, along with Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas, Rico, among other names. But these four gentlemen, these four performers or wrestlers, became a legend when even, when they stepped out of developmental and they entered, WWE main roster. Everybody knows that these guys are Hall of Famers. They're no one's Hall of Famer yet, but eventually these four men will be Hall of Famers in their own right. Batista is obviously retired right now and doing movies and such. John Cena already announced that he will be retiring or will be having his retiring tour, similar probably with a Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, Black Mamba, next year. Brock Lesnar is in sabbatical. Randy Orton is still kicking ass and taking names as the Apex Predator and having a great storyline feud with Kevin Owens on SmackDown. And imagine, it's been 20 years that these guys came out. 20 or 22 years. That's how long these guys were known. I mean, I'm 41, so I was like in my 20s back then when these guys came out. And kudos to them for longevity. And they're part of my, adulthood in some ways. They kept me, going be a fan. They even feuded with top guys as well. John Cena with Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton with Shawn Michaels, Triple H feuded even with each other at the time, and they really are the Mount Rushmore of the ruthless aggression era. So yeah, I don't think I need another topic. 30 minutes right now for this era talk is actually will suffice your wrestling fix. So thank you guys, because next time or probably tomorrow, yeah, let's say tomorrow because today is Friday, tomorrow is Saturday. I can do the SmackDown talk on Sunday probably, or probably Monday, whenever. But yeah, part three will come out for the Mount Rushmore as we tackle the next two era of WWE, PG era, and what I call the WWE Network era. So, thank you guys for watching and listening to the Pop and Wrestling Podcast with me, Coach 23. See you guys soon.